Hi y'all, Bill Koch here. We are actually on Downer Avenue, the famous, world famous Downer Avenue, home of the Otto Wenz Cafe Hollander Downer Classic, a race that dates back to the 70s and was actually started by Otto Wenz, hence the name. Anyway, we're here today with Steph Saliva, who is the former bid director here on Downer, and we're blessed actually to have Steph attached to 3 of our races, this being the granddaddy of them all. So Steph is the executive director of the Shorewood bid now, which we'll see later on, and has also helped us with our Bayview race. So we're going to talk to Steph a little bit about her involvement here at Downer. And Steph, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, baby. So tell us a little bit about Downer. What is it about Downer Avenue and the history here and why it's such a popular event for the community? We don't care about the racers right now. I'm just kidding on that part, but the community involvement.
I think, well, racing here has been around since, I think, the late 60s, so there's just always been community support, since this is kind of where it all began as far as Milwaukee goes. So the business district itself is just a couple of blocks long, and I think that makes for a really intimate relationship for the bike race. Like literally every business in this district participates in some way, shape, or form, and the community just loves it. So, yeah.
What do you think they love about the race? About the day, I should say. What do you think?
It's become the signature event for the Downer area, and I think that's just people embrace it. The neighbors walk over to the district, and even if you don't like bike racing, there's something for everybody here.
Tell us a little bit about the Benz Super Preme. What's that kind of about?
Yeah, so the Super Premes raise a ton of money for the racers. That's why they're called Super Premes. So it's usually like a $25 ticket, all you can eat and drink for the day. So that is wildly popular, especially with the neighbors. Show up and drink and eat all day? Absolutely.
And so then at the end of the day, you have these bike racers who come from all over the world. Last year we had 28 Aussies and 11 Kiwis from Australia and New Zealand racing. Riders from the Caribbean, from South America, from Europe, from Canada, from Mexico, all over the United States. People visiting, their friends, their family, people who are traveling. When they leave Downer Avenue, what is that sort of lasting image that you'd like them to leave with after spending a day at the famous Otto Wenz Cafe Hollander Downer Classic?
I don't think it's so much of like an image I want them to be left with, but more like of a feeling of support. Just basically how everybody comes together in this area to really enjoy the day.
Standing with us right now is Eric Wagner. Eric is the owner and everything of the Lowlands Group, which runs a tremendous number of restaurants, very successful restaurant concepts in and around southeastern Wisconsin. Some of the concepts being Cafe Hollander is the one with the most units, Cafe Benelux, the new it's pronounced Busteed-Voice, which I've eaten at many times, which is in Wauwatosa. And then the former Trocadero, which kind of started it all, which I loved, but is no longer with us. But Eric, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
This is going to be a fun interview, okay? So don't even think of it as an interview. It's just a chat between you and your homie, Bill Koch. Okay. So Eric, Lowlands is mega involved in cycling.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about all of that aspect, sort of separate from Downer right now, but just tell us about your commitment to cycling and what you see that link is between cycling and Lowlands.
Yeah, I mean, the link really started with our love of Dutch culture and biking, and biking as part of life, and the cafe culture, and biking to the cafes and biking to see friends and all of that lifestyle biking. And the obvious connection to that then was also to bike racing. And really, it was a Downer Classic that really originally connected us to bike racing in the beginning.
Okay, so we know that the Downer Classic, the Otto Wenz Cafe Hollander Downer Classic, has been around since the 70s, but it hasn't really missed a beat since you opened up your business here and the support. And
No, the race, I mean, it definitely precedes us. And we've sort of just, places come and go, and we kind of merged onto the scene and became a big part of it because our perfect location here. You know, this becomes the epicenter of the entire race with the start and finish line right in front, and this is fan central, and it created even more of I wouldn't say a circus environment, but just an incredible community event.
And tell us a little bit about your impression. I see you've got a Benz Cycle shirt on. It says Downer Classic 1928 is when Benz opened. So their role in putting on the Benz Super Preme, does that add a certain buzz to the event?
It does. I mean, it's just this like totally unique, unbelievably cool thing that Vince does. Vince is the owner of Benz Cycle. I actually talked to him this morning. He sets up kind of a whole event on the end of Hackett all to his own, and takes donations throughout the day. You can buy a t-shirt and enter into his Preme, and he donates all of the proceeds, feeds everybody for free, lets everybody drink his beer for free, and then creates this humongous Preme that he gives away for the riders. And it's an amazing thing because he's got a women's Preme and a men's Preme, but a big chunk of that race really ends up being about his Preme. And the man or woman who ends up winning that is typically done on the last lap, and they're usually coming by with a beer in hand, and it adds a whole different element to the race that is just so uniquely Downer Avenue. It's very, very cool.
In terms of that memory, when people have been here and had some time in the day, and let's say they've never been to a Cafe Hollander, what do you want them to leave feeling about Cafe Hollander?
I mean, I always go back to the culture. I know Eric talked about the beer part, but I think what our cafes present is a time to talk, a time to engage, and a time to connect with that other person. That's why our patios are the way they are. You know, it's a grand cafe, so that feel should be about the culture that your server is bringing to you, but also that you're bringing to each other. Growing up here, it was one of those days that you wanted to come here because you were going to see your friends, you're going to hang out, you're going to run around, and also you were able to see kids of your age, and also like people who are older. This bike race has kind of that element for everyone, right? Like, so the kids are excited to see the kids race, the teenagers are excited to see the teenagers race, and then it just continues down there, and that's a really family-oriented thing that is exciting about about bike races in general.
Racers from around the United States and the globe come to race here at the Otto Wenz Cafe Hollander Downer Classic. This race dates back to the mid-70s, and our Todd Busteed recently spoke with two very famous sisters from the Milwaukee area, Sam and Skyler Schneider.
Well, if you know anything about criterium racing in the Midwest, iconic, historic, dynamic, exciting. Now, I could be talking about Downer Avenue, or I could be talking about the Schneider sisters. In this case, except for maybe the historic part, that doesn't really land real well, does it?
For her, maybe.
We're talking about both. Skyler, Sam, joining us right here, Toad on the Road. How you ladies doing? Fantastic to see you.
Likewise, thanks for having us.
Missing Toad right now.
Yeah.
Let's try something here because, you know, we always, when we're racing Toad, you know, we always get a ton of energy when we introduce you two as being from West Allis. We call you hometown. What actually is the Toad venue that is closest to West Allis?
Wauwatosa.
Tosa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But Downer is still maybe a 12-minute drive, so the whole family comes every year, and it's pretty much the highlight of the summer.
So you two have both raced Downer many times. Let's talk really quickly. So what sticks out to you most prominently as the feature of racing Downer Avenue?
Other than just the atmosphere with Cafe Hollander, with the outdoor seating and the spectators lining the entire course to especially turn one where the Benz Super Preme is, the noise level compares to, racing in Europe where the fans are just so excited and animated. And for me, that's what I remember most about Downer's Ave.
Oh, that's fantastic. You just threw a huge compliment to that whole Downer vibe when they're equated with Europe. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, what do you recall from that race?
The vibe, the atmosphere. It's really an unbelievable feeling being so close to home, having all of your family in the midst of a true crit. It's really exciting to have them be able to experience what we experience at some level in other cities. Although Toad and Downer Avenue put on the top, like a pretty top level crit for them to experience, 15 minutes from home.
We are so looking forward to 2021. Tour America's Dairyland, great plans already. We're already very much in conversation with these venues. We want to see this thing racing again. And, Skyler, we'd love to see you go and represent again in Europe, but it's always great when you roll in. And, because those of us that love crit racing have seen this story develop over the years, and it's so rich. So I want to thank both of you for coming and hanging out with us, Toad on the Road, celebrating what's going on with our venues at Tour America's Dairyland. And I'm hoping that the rest of 2020 is on an upward trajectory for you, and looking forward to a great 2021.
Thank
you,
you.
Todd.
Can't wait to be on the start line.
Thanks, Skyler. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this segment of Toad on the Road. Thanks for hanging out with us. On behalf of the partners, everybody working behind the scenes, the folks that make these venues so exciting and work so hard to do so, all the racers that come out and enjoy, I'm Todd Busteed. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you in 2021.